The field of 14 teams has been whittled to a Final Four, one of whom will soon hoist the championship trophy. It's state semifinal week in the Montana Class AA football playoffs. Hello everyone, I'm Mark Vincent along with Amber Kuhn of the Independent Record. Welcome to Vigilante Stadium, which will be packed to capacity on Friday night for state semifinal action. Amber, an exciting weekend of quarterfinal action has left us with 4 teams, all championship caliber. What were your thoughts about last weekend?
Well, I think you've got the best 4 teams remaining for sure. You know, you've got the league-leading offenses in Capital and CMR, CMR and Helena paving the way on defense, and then you've got a Skyview team that's kind of been a surprise, but they've played well enough on both ends of the field to really prove to be a contender.
So no lightweights in this field, each team with at least 8 wins entering the semifinal round, and the 2 semifinals rematches of games played in the first half of the season. Amber, is that an advantage or disadvantage?
Well, I think it depends. I mean, obviously, if you were the team that had a loss in that first meeting, you love to have a chance to avenge that loss. But, you know, like the coaches say, it's really tough to play a good team twice and beat a good team twice. So if you're on the winning end, you might be dreading that rematch just a little bit.
And here at Vigilante Stadium on Friday night, a rematch of a Week 4 battle that saw Capital go to Billings and beat Skyview 42-20. Overlooked in that game somewhat was the fact that Skyview put together a masterful 17-play, 80-yard drive to take the lead in the first half, only to see Capital respond with a couple of big plays. Braden Peterson ran for over 100 yards, and Matt Miller his usual explosive self.
Yeah, let's not forget that Skyview was one of the few teams this season to force Capital to play from behind. And one of the things that they really did well in that game was run the option. And I know that's a concern of Pat Murphy's this time. Falcons quarterback Connor Lebsock, he's got that mastered, so expect them to have that option offense down even more this time. But expect Capital to be ready to defend that as well. As far as Capital's offense, what they're going to need to do is be balanced. Last week, we saw Big Sky really take away their run game in the first half, forcing Corey Sievers to throw the ball a little more than usual. He did it successfully, but the Falcons have a great pass defense, so they're going to really need to rely on that run. And they did get it going in the second half against the Eagles. They were able to get that ground attack back on track, and that's going to be important again. Looking at Capital's defense, you know, they actually, now we're down to 4 teams, and they're the 3rd best of those 4 teams in terms of defense, which is kind of hard to believe, but they do have a great run defense. That's going to be important against Skyview back Carson Hilliard. He's a great back. He's hard-nosed. He's a fast runner, and you're not going to see him pick up a lot of yards per carry, but he gets the yardage necessary to get it done, and he is the 2nd best back in terms of yardage in these playoffs, and he's rushed for over 1,000 yards this season.
So what can the Falcons do to try to spring the upset and derail this Capital Express?
Well, like I said, they're going to have to really stop Capital's run game. But also in that first meeting, we saw Capital only have to punt once. So it's going to be really important for the Falcons to get some key stops on 3rd down. Obviously, take away Matt Miller and Josh Dirk out of the passing game. They combined for over 200 yards last week, but I don't think you're going to see that against this better Falcons pass defense. They're also going to have to stop Braden Peterson. He had a big day against them last time, rushing for 149 yards and 2 scores. So that's going to be really important. And we've seen a lot of teams this year key in on Matt Miller and, you know, focus a lot on defending one player. But when you do that, you leave a guy like Josh Dirks wide open, and he had a big game against Big Sky last week. He's a lethal weapon, and you want to know where he's at on the field, whether it's offense or defense. He had 2 receiving touchdowns last week, and he also returned an interception for a score. So they're going to have to key in on more than one guy.
And Miller, a preliminary report that he might have been dinged a little bit in the Big Sky game, but apparently good to go. Mm-hmm. Now, you got 3 of the 4 predictions correct last week. Who do you like in this one?
I really do like Capital. I think Skyview will play them closer than they did last time. Might even get another lead on them. But remember, Capital has home field advantage this time, and they beat Skyview on the road in the last meeting. They had a tough go this year. They had to go to Billings on the road 3 times, which doesn't happen a lot in the scheduling, but they showed that they can beat tough teams on the road, and we know how capable they are of beating tough teams at home.
So Capital looking for a fourth consecutive state championship appearance when they take on Billings Skyview on Friday night. Now the other semifinal will be played up at Great Falls, is a rematch of a Week 1 battle between Helena and CM Russell. Those two teams have the two best defenses in the state statistically. Is anyone going to dent the end zone?
Well, say what you will about the defenses, but we're also forgetting that these two offenses are very potent, particularly CMR. They have the second best offense in the league, the best quarterback still playing in Jake Leskin. He's thrown for over 2,500 yards this season. He almost put up 300 on Bozeman. And granted, Bozeman's defense is not as good as Helena High's, but Helena High will really have to contain Bleskin to have a good game. And Bleskin has one of the best receivers in the state in Jordan Harper to throw to. He's got 951 yards this year and, a dozen touchdowns. But I think the thing that concerns the Bengals the most is how much the CMR run games come on since they met in Week 1. They found a great back in Gavin Hagforth, who has over 1,000 rushing yards, and he had 2 touchdowns last week in quarterfinal action. So Helena High, if anyone's going to stop CMR on the run, it's going to be Helena High, because the Bengals boast the best run defense in the AA. But as good as these defenses are, I do think we'll see some points get put up on the board.
Now, CMR was one of just 2 teams all year to keep Helena out of the end zone, and that game in Week 1 was Tyler Holtz's first varsity start. How has he improved in the last 10 weeks?
I think we've really seen Tyler mature a lot each week, improving a little bit each week. His pocket presence has improved. He's not making as many mistakes, not turning the ball over, and we've seen him throwing some nice balls. And, the biggest thing is his receivers and him are having a good connection now. He had over 100 yards last week, had 2 touchdown receptions caught by Adam Johnson and Nate Heinrichs, really nice balls. And, the thing I love about Tyler is he's not afraid to run the ball if he needs to. He has 5 rushing touchdowns this year. He's actually the third on the team in terms of rushing yardage behind Nilo Butler and Ryan Wall. But CMR's run defense is so good that they can't rely on a guy like Nilo Butler, who had 116 yards last week, to do their whole offense. So they're really going to have to put the ball in the air and I guess hope for the best. But I do think Tyler is much improved since Week 1. Although, like Arnson likes to remind me, CMR's also gotten better. So.
So buckle up the chin straps for that one. Every possession, every score will be at a premium. Who do you like?
I like CMR in this one. I really think, it's going to be much closer than last time around. I do think that Helena will be able to score on them. But CMR is so sound on defense, and their offense is so explosive that I just think it's going to be really tough for Helena High to go up there and get that win on the road. If it was here, maybe a different story, but I do like CMR in that one.
So CMR and Capital, 2 teams that met in a thriller in Week 6, could perhaps meet again for the state title. Should be a fascinating weekend. Semifinal rounds. Dress warmly. Temperatures supposed to be in the high 30s at kickoff on Friday night. And a reminder to keep up with all the high school playoff action, pick up a copy of the Independent Record or log on to helenair.com or mtprepsports.com.